So tonight, and I guess if I could see everyone, so if there's like something that needs to be said again, or, there's a question, just raise your hand and then type it in the chat because I could see that. But I'm going to try to keep it really close to 30 minutes. So what I want to talk about is, like, as you guys know, today on the team page, I posted that, that thing about having like goal calendars, which has been super exciting. So if you guys have been working all day, or, I know quite a few of you sent me messages, but if you haven't seen that yet or haven't had time, no worries. Just feel free to send me a message if that is something you're interested in. But goal calendars were super vital for me when I first started. And the thing is, when I was brand new, is pretty much a lot of our leadership, other than like Kim Touchton, was within their first year as well. So it was kind of a like trial and error sort of period of learning. So, like I talked about last week, like I really had to hold myself accountable. And I've just been thinking, like, 2016 was such a weird year. And Kim talked about it in our VIP sort of little room. And she was like, guys, this has been kind of a fluke year. Everyone is down in business in 2017. We want to get back to the basics of what everyone did in 2015. And a lot of people here are new and weren't part of that or haven't experienced the down year, which is super, super exciting. So I was kind of thinking, I'm like, why did we all explode? Why did we all, do so well within our first year? And it's because we were all super passionate about this business and about what it could do. We didn't have doubts. We didn't really, it was just so new and so fresh and just kind of like this really cool opportunity. So that was what was fueling us, was just like the opportunity that it works created for our lives. So what I want to talk about, and I again have notes just so I try to stay on topic, is obviously goals, because I want to tie in the goal calendars, because I'm going to be sending everyone theirs. And then I want to talk about basically like converting a goal into a vision, and then converting that vision into leaving a legacy, just as we are closing out 2016 and starting on a new year. It's going to be a lot of new leaders, which is going to be super exciting. I, for one, am so pumped to just have a bunch of new leaders kind of emerging, and just kind of like reignite the passion of current leaders, or like myself. So one of the things that I have realized and talked about is, obviously, like I've said, your why is what fuels you, and your why is going to be adapting. So in that same concept, like your goals that you have, you're going to have short-term goals and long-term goals, because that's just, a business. It's really a principle within anything, like whether it's weight loss or, at some sort of running a marathon or whatever, you have to start with a small goal and then build on that to get to the bigger ones. So that's why the goal calendars are so cool and have been so good for me. So if I'm thinking, like, obviously most of us get into this business, and, if you're in your first couple of months, like, your goal's probably Ruby, and that is an excellent goal, and then you chart it out. And what, for those of you who want to be a Ruby by, the end of January, then I literally have on January 31st, like, I am Ruby, and you claim that. And then I work backwards throughout the month of saying, like, okay, you need 5 distributors on your team. How are we going to do that? And then you incorporate all of the training and the tools that we give you, and you utilize that in your style of leadership and your style of communication, and you work within your strengths to make that happen, because my strengths and your strengths are going to be different. And, it's obviously copying the right cat, but I'm not, we're not trying to create these little like cookie cutter distributors. We're just trying to say, copy the style of, a leader that fits you, and then utilize that in your own strength to achieve your goals. And then once you get that Ruby, then you can build on that and say, oh my gosh, getting a diamond is just building 3 rubies underneath me. So then you know how to do that, and you could teach others. So it's just things like that. So having, your goal calendar, I'll try to have those to everybody tomorrow. I have quite a few, which is super exciting. So, I know I'm going to be working on those. But, writing down your goals is super essential, so that you can chart out your vision. So as I said, like your why is what's going to inspire others and what's going to fuel you. And then that's going to set the tone for creating your vision. And the thing that's different is like your vision is something, it's kind of like an overarching umbrella that should remain constant even as your goals are shifting and growing. So that was one of the biggest pitfalls I had as a leader, is I set, some neat goals for myself as a single girl of home ownership or quitting my job or being able to travel. And then I achieved those goals. And I kind of almost like lost sight of, well, then what's next? I never thought I would actually get to Presidential Diamond. I just wanted to get to Ruby. So sort of like, I don't need more money. Like in the moment when I got that promotion, I was like, I don't technically need to make more than $15,000 a month. Like I'm good, but I lost sight of my vision, of the fact that it's not about me, it's about others. And that's what really tripped me up. And, it was really, it's challenging to stay motivated when you reach your goals and then you don't set other goals to help others. So that's what, like, I want to make sure that your goals are kind of, they're personal, but that your vision involves others and your vision involves your team, and I learn from example of the good and the bad from myself and other leaders, and realizing, okay, I like this, I like what she's saying here, but I see her journey, and like, I don't want to lose sight of, my team, and just things like that. 'Cause I can always do things better, and it's never too late to kind of like restart or reboot or anything like that. So if there's something, if you're like, wow, I really could have like gotten involved, and started running from the very beginning, like, don't beat yourself up, just start now. So, I have had such a crazy journey, and so many of our leaders have, high times and down times and this and that, but it's really about like just regrouping and refocusing and pruning, like we've said, and just like working with, the people, everybody who responded to me, everybody who's on these Zooms, like I keep track, and like, these are the people to follow and the people to watch and the people that I want to pour into. So just do that for your team. When you write posts or when you reach out and stuff, the girls and guys that you sign that are responding to you and that want it, and they're inspired by you, but they motivate themselves, those are the ones who are going to get you to where you need to go. So they're going to be the ones that are affected by your vision, and you want to help them create their own. So the one thing I want to talk about super quickly is we all have those times when, whether it's family, friends, strangers on social media, doubt that this is legit, or doubt that this is a good business for you to be in, vice versa. But I just want to encourage you that your passion, which is, again, why we say to write all these things out, your passion is what is going to fuel you beyond people's doubts. And just understanding that people are going to doubt things that they don't understand, because this business really is going against the norm, and living debt-free is not normal in America right now, and having freedom of time and, being able to raise your kids, but also have a great income and, retire your spouse and, being able to like volunteer and, everything that work stands for is very different from, what corporate America says is normal. So it's understandable for people to doubt. So just give them grace when they do, but don't let their doubt shake your foundation of your passion and your why and your vision of where this business can take you. And that's why I asked everybody who I talked to today, like, what is obviously like, what is your dream income and your dream rank, but also, but what is, what is your why, and why do you think, and what are the reasons in your heart that you think that this business is going to help you get there? Because identifying those and writing them down, like, really is helpful for the times that you do have doubt. So, having that big vision mindset, referencing, that is what is going to obviously fuel you past that doubt. Because if you think about, if you've ever heard the story of this company, Mark and Cindy, they actually were super crazy, and they had to do home renovation in order to pay the first employees' salaries each month, because it was such a risk for them. And they had to have that big vision mindset in order for us to have the opportunity to even, chase freedom that we are now. So if you I should say when, if/when at any time you guys ever like hit a time of struggle or have people doubting you or feel like you're like running this race by yourself, utilize this team page because you're definitely not alone. The things that you are experiencing are not things that anyone else is immune to. And also understand that, like, yeah, this business is such a huge opportunity, but there are going to be times of struggle. It's not just this get rich quick scheme. So there is strategy and work that is, needs to be devoted into running a team well. But in those times of struggle, like that's when you need to really embrace it and understand that you're developing a leadership testimony, and you, that's when you're being strengthened, So like I said, like if you're, a marathon runner or just achieving any sort of goal of fitness, or even if it's a goal of education, like you have to struggle through, those hours of studying or those hours in the gym in order to, and it is painful in that growth, but you're obviously every single time you go, you're learning something more and you're developing more strength. So those times of pain and those struggles are what is developing a leadership testimony that is going to make you relatable for the people that you are going to be responsible for, helping and growing along the way. So yeah, the other thing that is really cool that I was thinking about is like vision. If you think about, it's easy to use the terms like have a vision, have a goal. But if you think about vision in terms of just like eyesight, the way that you see things, that we all see things is individual, it's unique. So I may look at a situation and see it differently than you, which is extremely normal. And that's positive because I'm going to respond to things and react to things differently. And it's not my responsibility to make my teammates see things the way that I see them, but my responsibility is to help other people see things in their own view. It's having my vision for something and understanding that my vision for my life is going to be different than somebody else's, but it's my responsibility to make sure that my team has a vision for their life, and like I said, like mine is going to be different and yours is going to be different from, the people who are doubting you on Facebook or your families, but it doesn't mean that what you're seeing for your life and the course that you're charting isn't credible. It just means that they have a different vision and they have a different viewpoint, and whether they get on board with yours or not is not going to affect your success as long as you stay passionate. So one of the things that Kim has talked about in terms of vision is making sure you have a vertical vision. So a lot of times, within our training pages, we have, of course, a ton of different ways to do the steps to success. And that isn't to make you guys feel pressured in mastering everything. It's to give everybody an opportunity to find what suits them and then mastering that and then repeating it. So if there is somebody who was built on social media, but like you hate Instagram or whatever, it's not right for me to say, well, you need to become a master of that if that turns this business into an obligation instead of an opportunity. However, I'm always going to say, this is a really cool stepping stone. This is a great tool. I would maybe, try to use it as well as you can, but or like parties. Yeah, that's a super quick way to grow your business and to increase, the people who you're talking to and, and get those loyal customers and distributors quickly. But if you are just absolutely like terrified of like hosting people, or the idea of having a party is just like treacherous to you, and like you would hate doing this business if you had to do a party, then like I'm not going to make you conform into this like cookie cutter thing. So just understand that the tools that we have and the things that we're telling you are things that have worked for us and that have worked for other leaders. So yes, we want to encourage you to do that and step out of your comfort zone, but this is your business. You are the owner. This is an amazing opportunity. So if ever you're doing something and it feels like it has shifted from an opportunity and an I get to into an obligation and an I have to, you need to understand either, hey, I have like an attitude problem right now and I'm not understanding the gift that this business is, or B, I'm super self-focused right now and I'm not remembering that this is actually about others, or C, I'm trying to make my like biggest weakness into a strength and I don't need to do that because that is not going to be helpful for the long run. You need to figure out what your strengths are and then work in those areas. So I just, Kimmy Dempsey had quoted at an event, and it's so basic, but it's just really, it's basic, but it makes sense. And she literally just says, like, you can do anything, but you can't do everything, so you can do anything you want to set your mind to. You can buy a house and pay off that debt and, work from home with your kids and, take those dream vacations, but you can't do everything at once, and you can't do everything well at the same time. You really have to figure out what is important now and what works for you right now. So, so what was one of the things that Kim talks about that is a common leadership principle that she got from the Global Leadership Summit is kind of like running in your own lane. And at first I wasn't really understanding, but she's like, when you're figuring out what It Works can do for your family and then what in turn you can help others do for their families, you need to, obviously enlarge your vision, but stay in your own lane at the same time. So find out what you're passionate about. It goes back to passion, things like that, what you enjoy, what you're good at, and then using that to like incorporate that into your business. So this business should be fun. That's the biggest principle that, or the first principle that we talk about. So like, what am I passionate about? That's why on our team page, I'm like, I want everyone to get to know each other. Like, who are people who like cooking, who like running, who do yoga, who are travelers, who are photographers? Find out what you're passionate about, what fuels you, what makes you excited. It could be fashion, you know what I mean? And figure out how to incorporate the passions and the things that you love into marketing your business. And like, if you're not thinking like you're waking up and thinking, oh my gosh, this is such a fun job, or I love my team, then like talk to me, talk to your leader, because something needs to shift, because that should be your mindset, because this really is such a fun job. Our team is really dynamic, and it should be something that you are allowed to live the life that you always dreamed of because you're working your business well. So I want you to function within your strengths, figure out what you're good at, whether that's writing or photography or, any sort of communication, or maybe it's just cooking or health or whatever. And it could be something completely out of the ordinary, but then if you don't understand, like, how could I incorporate this in drip posts, or how can I incorporate this in conversations or whatnot, then like talk to the team, utilize the team page, the Legacies page, and just like, hey, this is my idea. This is what I'm passionate about. I want to start a blog on this, or I want to like, whatever it may be. Like, I want to start cooking or this or that or fitness. And, let us all kind of brainstorm together as how to be creative within your strengths and then incorporate that for your business. So the other thing, because she was saying, if you're not building vertically, then you're trying to build horizontally, and you're going to have like really shallow little, it's just going to be like a really shallow kind of horizontal foundation. But you really want to figure out where you are, what you work well in, and then start building up, because that's literally how you're going to like promote up the ladder, is when you focus on a few things, doing them well. And then, having a couple other, having a foundation that's rooted so that, as you start growing your team, you can show them other ways that might work for them, because what you're like, my lane and Leah's lane may be completely different, but we both are running at the same time towards the same goal. And I'm encouraging her and she's encouraging me, but like we're literally in different. So she may be social media, I may be parties, or she may be photography and I may be writing, or whatever it may be, but it doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong. It just means like, this is what she excels in, this is what I excel in. And of course I need to know some of the other areas, and some, that's why we have all this training, but it's not a cookie cutter thing, so just remember that the training is there to help, and everyone's story is super unique, and you need to just figure out what is fueling your vision, what you're passionate about, so that you can just excel in those certain areas and just keep repeating those, and then help other people identify that within themselves. And that's what's going to set you apart as you're like embracing 2017 and your team is booming and you're signing distributors and signing loyal customers, you're going to be able to show them, hey, this is what I identified within myself. Let me help you with that, because that's what's going to set apart those leaders, is literally equipping your team, whether it's your very first distributor or like your 100th distributor. You know, it really should never, it should never matter. So again, like before, we've always talked about putting blinders on, you know, and kind of like just not comparing yourself. So that's the other thing too, is just understanding, like in 2017, when we enter into this first quarter, like you may boom right at the beginning and it may take a little bit like longer. You know, everyone's journey is different, but just understand, like if you're identifying your goal and your vision and you're operating within your strength, like your business will only succeed. There's really no option for it not to. So one of the things that I was thinking about and just kind of reading about when talking about moving from a goal to a vision is, like I said before, like your goals are going to turn into bigger visions. Otherwise, like if you don't, that's whenever you're going to feel stuck, when you're just thinking about yourself. So really a vision is it's a larger picture that is going to fuel you during every season. So whether it's first quarter or fourth quarter, or, you know, your family's like operating really well or whatever may happen, your vision is what's going to keep you going. So if you're running a marathon and you're like, oh my gosh, shin splints, oh my gosh, sprained ankle, oh my gosh, rain, whatever may happen, you still have that vision of crossing the finish line. So that's realistically, like, this isn't just a get rich quick. This isn't just like a flash in the pan. I'll maybe do this for a year to make some extra money. This is something that, you know, 4, 5, 10 years down the road, you can be doing, and you can have a huge team doing it with you, but you have to have that big vision, you know. And it took me at least a year, maybe almost, I'm approaching my second year like next week, or my 2-year mark. And it took me almost this whole time to like actually like believe in my heart that this could be like a career. You know, and once you kind of figure that out, then that's whenever your vision is really going to kind of, it's going to launch you, and your team is going to follow suit, you know, and they're going to understand the passion, and they're going to start doing that for themselves. So what I always remembered in my first year that was super vital for success within my business was that, like, this obviously is a huge opportunity, but it's also a really big responsibility as I'm signing up distributors, you know. So I just want to encourage you guys that every time you're signing someone, whether this is, like I said, your very first distributor, or if you're a charting ambassador, like every single person that you sign, it's a privilege to know them, and it's a privilege that they trusted you enough, and that they've seen your journey, and that they identify with you, and that they want you to be part of writing their story of legacy for their family. And don't take that lightly, and don't ever think, oh my gosh, I'm just an executive, or oh my gosh, I'm just an emerald, or whatever. You're not just anything. You're that person's leader, and you're that person's enroller, and it's a really cool responsibility to be part of, you know, this journey with them. And just like I said, if you ever, hopefully none of you have a slow time, but if you ever feel like, oh my gosh, this is a burden, then get with us so that we can kind of help you like shift that vision into understanding, like, this is so much bigger than you and so much bigger than me. This is about, you know, realistically, like the legacy that you're leaving. So before I transition into legacy, I want you to guys like kind of think about outside of It Works, because It Works is obviously why we're all here, but it's a vehicle that is going to help fuel your passions and fuel this life that you've always wanted. So just kind of ask yourself, like, other than this job, other than It Works, like, what are you passionate about? What are you drawn to? You know, things that you love. And like, for me, you know, faith is a big thing. So it's like, what has God laid on your heart? Like, what is a cause or a mission or something that you're like, if I had complete freedom of time and complete freedom of finances, you know, like, what passions, what desires would I develop so that I could leave an impact, you know, and just let those things kind of like seep into you as you're running along this journey and as you're watching other people, because those are what's going to really kind of help you like leave a legacy. So as I'm moving quickly, I don't know how much, as I'm moving from a vision to a legacy, because I know that I obviously have chosen that for our team name is just, legacies, but I just love that word. I think it's super powerful. And I think, as obviously as a leadership driven company, we toss around, goals and have a vision and what's your why and what's your legacy. And it can become kind of just like routine and mundane and just sort of like jargon, but a legacy is what you're known for, and it is really simple, but just kind of like, like who you are, who, like your character, your reputation, your leadership style, things like that are what's going to mark your legacy in it works and outside of it works. And the thing is like, obviously everyone here has the exact same opportunity for grand success as the next person. Like I am not sitting in my pajamas in my small bedroom because I'm set apart in any way. I just kind of decided I'm going to make this work. And I watched a couple YouTube videos and then I just sort of faked it till I made it with sheer enthusiasm and, such and such. So I just want you to know, like, there's nothing that sets apart leadership like rank. The only thing that rank does is help you identify that you've reached a goal, but it doesn't make anybody more knowledgeable than the next, and again, like finding your strength. And my strength is not product knowledge. My strength is leadership development and talking about lifestyle and things like that. But if you guys have a question on the product, I'm probably not the right person to ask. I will go to the product coach and do my best to help. But I've just understood like that's not how my brain works. And I'm not like embarrassed by that anymore. I'm just sort of like, let me find out, like whatever. But, it doesn't matter if you're a presidential or an ambassador diamond. You don't have to know everything about the business. You just have to be willing to admit when you need help or just kind of show people, you know what, I'll find out, and be relatable. But so the legacy, one of the things I was thinking about is like, and again, Kim, I quote Kim a lot because she's very similar to me, or I should say I'm similar, just similar. No, I like identify with her well. And one of the things she said, she was like, be the type of team member and the type of team leader that if anything negative was said about you, no one would believe it because of the reputation and integrity that you have within your team. And I just really liked that because, again, it goes beyond just it works. It goes into your character within the community and your character within your family and the legacy that you're leaving of, like, yes, this business is 100% about being debt-free, and that is the goal. Like, if anyone, what frustrates me, this is, again, a tangent, I'm going off really quickly, but in the beginning, one of the things that was so commonly said about my Facebook posts or whatever was, oh my gosh, like, this is like all about money or whatever. And I literally would respond to them and I'm like, yeah, it's about money. Like, it's a job. Like, why do you work? Like, you don't go to your 9-to-5 desk job because you like love filing papers, like you go to your 9-to-5 desk job so that you can collect a paycheck. So if I don't have to go to your crappy 9-to-5 desk job to like get your crappy paycheck and I get to sit in my house and like drink coffee at 10 a.m. and post on social media, like, yeah, I'm going to share it with somebody else who also wants that, and like, so don't ever like, it's just frustrating me when people are really small-minded, like small-minded people, I don't have time for you. But just like understand, like when you're posting something, it's not to rub your lifestyle in someone else's face. It's to open a door for somebody else to walk through and gain the lifestyle that they only have ever dreamed of. You know what I mean? So again, that's what I say, like, this is a responsibility, and like the legacy that you're creating is so much bigger than just a wrap and just your paycheck. It's literally about the mother next door that you don't know is suffering, or like the marriage that's like on the rocks, or this girl or guy who's like drowning in student loans, and you literally just say, hey, I have a coupon if you'd be interested or whatever. And that could be like, their answer to prayer. So it's super cool to be able to have that opportunity. But again, having the tools to run a business well. So it's not just creating connections, but it's fostering that once it's created, so it is twofold, and having vision and having that like drive, but then also being like, okay, practically, I'm a business owner. How do I make this work? So I want everyone, and one of my biggest goals is to be a smart businesswoman, and be a good steward of like what we've been given responsibility for. So as we go into 2017, just remember, this is a new year. These are new goals. There's new promotions. There's new products. We're going to be in new countries. It's literally new. So anything, and it's not like new in like a big scary way. It's new in a like, okay, I'm refreshed, had some downtime, like, whether you're literally brand new in the business, like I've said, or you're me and you're going into your third year, like this is a new year. I have a foundation of knowledge and a foundation of support, but I am rejuvenated and ready to go with a new vision and a new energy, and understanding that like I actually am leaving a legacy, and like each of you is actually leaving a legacy. So understand that you are building, you're building a platform of leadership as you spend every single day, and that's why I'm like every day, if you look back and I have to check myself, am I leaving clues for my new distributors who are signing up of how to duplicate success, and just things like that, not overcomplicating it, but like understanding that this isn't, even if I'm like, I don't really want to post right now, or I don't want to go to this wrap party, like it's not about me, it's about the people who are watching me who need freedom. So, whatever. So that is just kind of, again, like I said, you're building a platform, understanding the power of social influence, understanding that this is bigger than wraps, like I said. And then I always ask myself questions. I'm very like self-reflective of like, what kind of legacy, and this is so silly, but like this really helps me because like I don't have children and I like make no qualms about it. They're like, I'm like obsessed with my dogs and like that's it right now. But I'm always in thinking like what I'm doing today is get the platform that I am building my tomorrow on. So it's like whether I just ask myself like what kind of legacy do I want to leave for my children? And then Pam was saying in Atlanta, she was like, what do you want your grandchildren to like remember about you? And it may seem like so silly for, us right now to think that way, but it's like, it is really cool to think about the fact that like you literally have the power to completely equip your family for freedom and to chase their dreams and follow their dreams. So it's like, what kind of legacy are you leaving for your grandchildren? And like, what are your kids gonna like sit around and talk about? Like, I'm so glad that mom was such a hard worker and she was so driven and she sacrificed so that we could have this lifestyle and we could have this luxury. And like, I'm so glad that, grandma was like such a dynamic powerhouse of a woman, and just understanding like it. And even if it's something where you're like, well, I don't want kids, because I know that there's people who are like, wow, that doesn't apply to me. And it's like, okay, well, what about like your new team member who, again, vision. It's not always just about you and your goal. It's about having a vision of helping other people with their goals, So if there's something that you hear that Mark says or Pam says or, Kim or I say or whatever, and you're like, that doesn't apply to me. It's like, okay, well, you know what? It may apply to your new team member. So just thinking like that. And these are just self-checks that I have to have all the time. And just, I think it's really cool. So, like I said, if you're brand new, if you're like, I'm a veteran, I know everything, just kind of going back to the basics of creating goals, creating vision, and letting that fuel your legacy. That is what is going to set you up for like a really good mindset for 2017 as I start making different videos and you start going back to the files of the tools. So of course, the first step is mindset. And then the second step is really just utilizing the tools to see how, to create that life and that legacy, because it's pretty simple. If you have your mindset mastered and then, you figure out your strengths and you work the tools that we have, like there's literally no way that you guys can't all be VIPs this year, So that is that. Like I said, I don't have any sort of audio, but I wanted to take a picture really quickly. So everyone smile. Perfect. Okay. I think it's going to quit in like less than a minute. So I will say goodbye and I will post something on our page so that I can actually hear from you guys. So apologize. I at least got it on my computer, but this tech retarded person is slowly but surely coming along. So anywho, thanks for coming, guys. I'm really excited. Bye.